Hello, welcome to Luca Accounting. I'm going to guide you through some basics of Luca Accounting to help you get started. And this is your dashboard. As you can see, there's a few get started links. These are pretty useful. Um, I'm not going to go through them right now, but you can have a look and we can get back to them a little bit later. If you scroll a little bit down, here's some visual representations of what your sales and costs and results are like. Um, when you have more invoices and more data, this will be much better represented so you can see exactly what's going on. But let's crack straight into registering a invoice for a sale. So if we go down here and click on invoices, I've already just done a fake one. You can't tell, but Jack Sparrow is not real. So if I go into a new invoice, I have the option to choose a customer or create a new one. If you click down here, this will give you a list of all your customers that you've already created. And you can also just search for them here if you have many. But let's just create a new customer for this example. And then here we have the Bernison registry. I think I said that right. Where you can, all registered companies in Norway are listed here. And so you can easily search for any company. So let's just use Luca Labs as an example. And it takes information from the registry and basically fills out what it has. If you have a contact email or phone number, you could add those too. There's also an option for this to be a private person if it's not a registered company. And you can also then search for by telephone number for in the 1881 directory. Otherwise, just add in the information manually. This has still got Luca Labs, but let me just go back to Luca Labs. Okay, so I'm just going to use that. And it should be listed there under new customers, but I'm just going to create the invoice. So here we have the information. You can see Luca Labs, invoice dates. This is today's date, but you can make it obviously whatever the invoice is. Payment days, this is just the default, but whatever the due date is of the invoice, just set that there. And then if you scroll down, then this is where your product is. Now, Pirate Hats is one I added. It kind of makes sense for Jack Sparrow, but not so much for Luca Labs. But if I go Luca Labs, what's cool for Luca Labs? Let's just say a chair, right? So what's cool is like if you just add something here, you can register a new product. You can just type anything in and then create a new one. And then it will remember it, so it'll be listed there always. Select quantity, let's go 5 chairs. Let's say they are very cheap chairs at 100 krona. Or I can make it 1,000 then. And this is your VAT rate. You can set it 0 or 25. Let's make that 25. Here you can add a comment as well in your invoice. One thing to remember here is if you're going to add a comment, to be quite specific about what that is. So just go into much detail as possible. Don't just say something very basic, but just be as detailed as you can. I'm not going to add a comment though, so I'm just going to go save. And you can see the invoice is updated. We have the chair with the quantity, and VAT is added, and this is our total amount. If I want to, I could also add another product to this invoice. So right here, I can just go, okay, I want a pirate hat, so let's have a pirate hat. And I want 20 pirate hats. I'm going to make them really expensive for fun. So you can see our invoice has been updated. We have 2 products. Payment days 0. Let's make that, I don't know why that reset, but let's make that 14. Let's update the invoice. You can preview it. Let's go back there. That looks pretty good. We go send. Here we have the recipient's email address. We do have other methods with VIPs and EHF, but let's just stick to the basics of email for now. You can also add attachments if you need to do that to the invoice. For this test one, let's just go. No, I'm not going to use mine. I'm going to go Jack. Oh, that's Jack Sparrow. But anyway, this is meant to be for Luca Labs, but you get the point. And you can set this as the default. I don't want this to be the default for Luca Labs right now, so I'm just going to leave that like that. Invoices sent. Here I can see the invoice. And this is a slightly different view because we have an overview of your products on the left with a kind of summary. You know, the basic things, bank account, customer name. But here is your kind of status on the invoice. And you can see it's unpaid. So here would be once you've received the payment, you can register it. This is also a little bit of your correspondence if you send a reminder to the customer, which you can do, or send them a copy. But as far as the basics go, let's just assume there's a payment and you want to register it. This is my added bank account. It's business account. Set whatever the payment date is. This by default takes the full amount, but you can, for instance, if they didn't pay the full amount, you have the option to, or they're overpaid, for instance, or something like that. You can add in what the amount really was. Let's just say they paid the full amount, and they can go register payment. And you can see the invoice is updated. Invoice is now settled, and it's all good. So if we go and look at our invoices, we can see here that this invoice we just created has been settled, and we still have an outstanding one from Jack. He's been bad. Over here, so if we go edit, you can see this invoice from Jack Sparrow is overdue and unpaid. So in this example, it might be a good idea for you to send him a reminder. But overall, that's the basics for your custom invoices. Okay, so we've had a look at our sales invoices and created one. Now let's hop on over to creating an expense. To do that, the best way is to go down here to your inbox. You want to go to your inbox to actually upload the invoice, the document, whatever your expense is. For this example, I've already uploaded one, but it's pretty easy. You just basically upload it right here. So let's just crack on and create that expense. So here you have 3 options. this would be an invoice, something you've been invoiced for the company, which needs to be paid. A company receipt is basically something that has been paid by the company and you want to document that expense. And a reimbursement is something which, well, it's when somebody is paid for something on behalf of the company with their own private money, and then that has to be reimbursed by the company. So for this example, we're just doing a standard invoice that needs to be paid by the company. So let's just click that. And here you see the PDF that was uploaded. You can get a preview of it here. And if we look at actually creating our invoice, these are the options. This, yes, it has to be paid by the company, similar to before. And then supplier. This supplier is Luca Labs, which has already been created. It's very easy to create whatever supplier you need. It's the same sort of kind of flow as on the customer invoice side. So I'm just going to select Luca Labs, and I'm going to make sure I have the correct invoice number. That's very important. So 6789. Invoice date, today's date, yes. And the due date is the 8th, the 10th, the 8th of October. Okay, cool. And here the option is if it's purchased in Norway or basically outside. I'm guessing the majority of goods are going to be purchased in Norway, but you do have the option for outside. This choice here affects these cost accounts and some VAT potentially. So we're just going to select purchased in Norway. For currency, since it is purchased in Norway and it is krona, we have to use krona, but there are options, particularly if it's purchased outside, to use other currencies. Here we have our description, and although this is not editable by default, it's very good to, it's important to actually have a bit of a description of what this is. So I'm using Norwegian pens for office. And this can be a slightly tricky thing of choosing the correct cost account. These are all kind of very particular accounting codes. Unfortunately, we don't have an explanation on the English version of Luca accounting yet, which would be helpful, but it's still pretty easy. So in this case, we've there's some pens that we bought, so we're going to use this little search to get the right account, and this is pretty self-explanatory. This is office supplies, so that should be the correct account, and then it automatically chooses the correct VAT depending on what that cost account is. And as you can see in the actual invoice, the VAT kind of corresponds with that that amount, so that you know that's correct. And then we just have to put in the amount, and this is the total amount including VAT. And here we have payment, and we go not paid. Just have a quick overview again, and we register it. Now this invoice has been finalized. So if we now go into our expenses and bills, we can see that this might be a bit of a duplicate here, but no, it's not a different one. There we can see it there. And so from this point, if we can also register the payment. There is the option to also register partial amounts, but this would be paid in full. And that's it. That's basically registering expense. Okay, so we've looked at sales and expenses. Let's have a quick look at bank accounts. Here I've already registered an account relating to my business, and we really recommend that you create a dedicated bank account that just deals with your business. A beginner mistake is to mix their private bank accounts with business accounts. This can create many hassles for you down the line, and we really recommend keeping these separate and making sure you have that dedicated account or accounts relating to your business. So in an example where you would maybe have a few bank accounts for your business, maybe you have one specifically for taxes or something else, you can also create a new bank account here. I'm obviously not going to create one, but there's the option. And another thing which is very important to do regularly, probably at least once a month, is to reconcile your bank accounts. And it's just basically making sure that your payments correspond, your accounting and your bank account correspond so that they are in sync and correct. All right, now let's look at your company settings. To find your company settings, just go up here where your company name is and select it here. There are quite a few options here. I'm just going to highlight a few ones. Let's look at opening balance. You might need to register an opening balance, so keep that in mind. But if you have any questions, just please let us know and we can help you through that process. We also have, let's look at VAT. You don't have to worry about VAT if your company is obviously VAT registered. These would mostly primarily affect your customer invoices. And if we just click on that here, as an example, you might need to enable a different VAT setting. If an example is if you sell transportation services in Norway, you might need an extra one. But again, you can contact us about that. And if we scroll up a little bit, we can look at some options for your customer and supplier invoices. Yeah, these are the invoices that you send out. So one option which you might want to do is to add your company logo to kind of personalize it more to your company, and a few other options. Mass invoicing, if you need to invoice many customers at the same time, that's quite easy to enable here. And if we then look at supply invoices, here you can also activate EHF, which are electronic invoices. These would be, this allows you to receive them. You get them in your inbox. It's quite easy and very easy to activate. And you also can activate accrual right here as well. Yeah, so that's a little overview of settings. If I just go back to the dashboard, another thing that I just mentioned a few of those settings that you can always contact us for help. Here is a link right here to our help desk. This is mainly in Norwegian, but hopefully if you're English speaking, you can read a bit of that, so put it through Google Translate. There's quite a lot of info there, which is pretty useful. Please check that out. Let's go back to dashboard. Yeah, and also we have a chat as well. We are available to answer any of your technical questions in English and Norwegian. We have a great team there that are willing to get you going. So don't hesitate to contact us. So that's it. That's a little overview of Luca Accounting. I hope you found it useful. Thanks very much.